Hello! Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I hope everyone's getting through their week and having a good time with their week. I know my week was mid. I know my week was mid. I mean, I guess freaking what are you supposed to expect when it's March and freaking it's like cloudy and overcast and rainy for some reason. I don't know. I just would have liked a little bit more sunshine so far this week. I would have liked a little more sunshine. Sunny and pleasant and warm, and I just want more like poolside weather where I can, sit and tan in the sun. But yeah, you just have to deal with whatever weather you get. Extreme cold up north? Another polar vortex? We're doomed. We're doomed. It's global climate change coming for us to punish us for our sins. To punish us for our sins. Want to move to Mars with you? Aren't you already on Mars? 'Cause you're out of this world. You're out of this world. Although I think maybe Mars is maybe a little too warm for us. A little too warm for us. Not exactly poolside weather there. Nope. That's why we gotta protect our Earth. We gotta protect our Earth where we still got it, 'cause you can't have cool poolside weather anywhere else. Yet. Not until we have the Wally tech. And then we're all just sitting lazily on chairs that do all the motion for us. Yeah, Ash, go solve the climate change. Go solve the climate change. Sorry if you guys hear me sniffle. I am somehow still sicky, like freaking, it's been over a week. Yeah, I don't even know. Yesterday I went to work and I was, working, and there was some coughing here and there, and I had to leave early because I had like this crazy coughing fit. I was in the lab, and then I just started coughing, and it was like, it wouldn't stop. I was like, over and over, it just kept going, and I had to walk out, outside the building because I didn't want everyone looking at me like, what? I didn't want everyone looking at me like, why is she here? She's gonna kill us all. She's going to kill us all with her sickness. It's the COVID-25. But yeah, that was really awkward. I walked outside and I was coughing and having a coughing fit outside. And then when it started to subside, I walked back into my cubicle to get my stuff because I was like, I think I'm gonna go home. And my manager walked over and my manager was like, Belle, are you okay? Are you okay? So, cause like, apparently the news had traveled fast and people were like, there's a girl outside dying. There's a girl outside dying. Someone get her manager, send her home. Zombie virus they found in Antarctica? Oh, is this how it starts? This is how World War Z starts? Maybe it's World War B for Break-A-Bell. Patient Zero. Patient Zero. But yeah, I was sicky, and then I came into work today again, and I had like a little bit of a cough, and my manager was like, you're still not feeling well, huh? I, I'm gonna stay over here. You keep your distance. Ah, we're going to become Yuri pilled? I already am. I already am. I don't need a pill for that. That's just in my DNA. That's just in my DNA. But yeah, I was doing a lot of work in the lab with my manager today, and I think at the end of the day, I saw him cough, and I was like, oh no, I've doomed us all. So it starts. So it starts. Why is my DNA just Yuri Smut? Don't ask why. Don't ask why. Just be happy for the blessings. Just be happy for the blessings. But yeah, I mean, I spent basically the whole day doing work with my manager because he was working on the same stuff as me, and we were chatting the whole day. He's freaking chat. Is it weird when they're like complaining about like marriage stuff to your coworkers? Maybe it's not that weird, but we were in the lab and he was just like, Belle, my one tip for you.
If I was an enzyme, I'd be DNA helicase so I could unzip your genes.
What makes you think they need unzipping? Maybe they're already unzipped. Huh? Joke's on you. But we were sitting there and I don't even remember how it came up, but he was like, Belle, I have one piece of advice for you. When you find a cute boy or girl or whatever, don't get married. Just stay girlfriend. Okay? You make plenty of money, you're an engineer. Don't get married. Because now that I'm married to my wife, all I think is if something goes bad and we end up divorced, I'm gonna eat like half her fucking debt. She's gonna take half my assets and I'm gonna be saddled with half her debt. And I was like, manager, are you okay? Is there a reason is there a reason this came up? And he was like, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. You know, nowadays there's not really any reason to get married. You know, you just stay boyfriend and girlfriend. You find yourself a good guy and you stay boyfriend and girlfriend and you don't get married, okay? You don't need to. You don't need to. It's so much risk. and I don't even. What do you mean $100 I stream in my underwear? I'm gonna enlighten you to a fact. If I feel like it's too warm for clothes, why bother with the underwear? just a nice little towel over the chair and just cursed information. No one needed to know that. But really, why? If you're already gonna be naked, why not commit to the bits? In Canada, you become common law after 6 months? I don't know. I think it's based on states here. I don't even really understand the whole, like, common law, like, is it if you live together? Like, certainly it's not just if you're dating. Maybe, I don't know. But he was saying, I was like, so, why did you get married if you feel like this was something that you didn't like, you don't want to worry about this? Because he had been talking about, like, how even before they got married, he had known his wife, boss wife, he knew that she was apparently really bad with her finances. And he was like, yeah, we had talked about this before we got married, and I had told her, this is fucked up. This is fucked up. And for the longest time, we just didn't get married. But she had like a son before they got together, right? So he has a stepson. And it basically, you know, at that point, there basically is a stepson. He didn't like raise the stepson, right? But since technically before they got married, the stepson was just like his girlfriend's son, right? He couldn't give like insurance to the stepson, or like pass on his veterans benefits or any of that fancy stuff that he had, because I think he's Navy or something like that, veteran. And he was like, yeah, so it was just a little unreasonable at the time for me to not marry her. So we ended up getting married so that we could take care of this stuff. We could have, you know, family plans. We could handle, you know, wills or whatever, right? And I was like, oh, okay, so are you happy that you did it then? That you could get all these benefits? Are you happy? Like now that you know the reward you reaped, would you do it again? Knowing both that there's this like financial risk and there's these benefits? And he just looked at me like, and I was like, okay, I get it, boss. Plead the fifth. You don't have to say anything. But he was like, if I think about it now, I could have just paid $200 for his health insurance every month. Could have just paid the $200. It would have been way less financial risk. Poor guy. Poor guy. Now he's scarred for life because every time he sees people, young people, he's like, my one advice is don't get married. And I was like, but I get that there's like a lot of sorts of weird risks you take on, but I feel like that's part of the like idea of marriages. Now you're fighting the battles together, right? I don't know though. And something I brought up was like, I know one of my friends, she was in a long-term committed relationship and they didn't get married, and then her significant other felt like she couldn't commit. Her significant other felt like she wasn't putting the effort for commitment in, and so her SO left her because you know, at a certain point, if your SO wants to get married and you don't put in the effort to get married, then they're probably just gonna find someone who will marry them. So I mentioned that to my boss. I mentioned that to Boss Bell, and Boss Bell was like, yeah, there might be people like that out there, but that's their insecurity. If they feel like you can't commit, that's their insecurity. That's not on you. And I was like, interesting. Interesting, because I feel like if my partner has that like insecurity, then I sort of want to comfort them on that, right? Not just be like, oh well, that's your problem. That's your problem, girl. Men complaining about marriage is a huge red flag? I don't know. I feel like I sort of agree, because when I think about it, like, is there marriage is sort of just a if you want it thing, right? I feel like it's an if you want it thing, and I think I want it, to be honest. I think I'd want, if I'm gonna be with someone, you know, might as well make it official. But I also don't see like where there's any need for it, right? And I think that was his point, is like, there's no need There's no need. All you're doing is you're saddling up yourself with potential responsibilities and potential issues down the line. And he talks about how his wife is just like really financially irresponsible, which I mean, I having only heard his side of the story and his biased perspective, it sounds like she probably is, right? So I don't necessarily blame him for being anxious about it, but I don't know. I feel like that's something where if you're gonna be long-term partners with someone, you have to work through it together, right? You don't care about marriage either way. You'd go with what your partner wanted. That's nice. That's nice. I guess that means you're signing this contract then. We're going to the courthouse tomorrow to finalize. I kid. I already drafted and signed it for you last night. But yeah. Bossabel has been ranting to me about, not that he's unhappy with his marriage, right? He says he loves his wife and he cares a lot about her. He's just anxious. He's just anxious because he knows that she's like apparently really bad at saving money. Like really bad. So stepson, you know, Bossabel pays for stepson's college. Because I guess Bossabel and Bossa wife, Bossabel and his wife maintain separate finances. But he, I guess, pays for the stepson's tuition, and he pays for a lot of, you know, family stuff. And he just keeps talking about how his wife is just like, oh, well, I want to keep up with all the trends that, you know, our neighbors and our friends have, so she keeps buying fancy stuff. She buys, you know, she bought a Peloton bike and she never uses it. Now he uses it way more. She insisted on them buying paddle boards, you know, because we live sort of close to the beach, and she's like, oh, it'll be fun. And so she bought one, and then of course he was like, oh, I guess I need to buy one to be with you because you're gonna keep giving me this passive aggressive shit about not wanting to do stuff with you. And guess what? Now she doesn't use it. He uses it. Him and his daughter go together, which is super cute. I mean, it's just sort of funny because he always talks about how she wants to buy all these fancy things, and then he sort of has to go along with it. Hi, Cat Goes Mew. Hi, Cat Goes Mew. I'm just chatting about my day, talking about my boss who's been ranting to me about his marriage. and it really does seem like he loves her, and it's not like they're in any danger, right? But he definitely seems like he recognizes there are, you know, differences in lifestyle and life goals from her, and he's sort of worried about it. Enjoy your coffee, Ash. Enjoy your coffee. But his wife plans to rent forever, and he wants to own a house and other things like that, you know. She apparently has really, really bad times saving money. And he's like, I think him and her are talking about like, oh, well, maybe they should combine their finances so that they can really, really get a wrap on it, because with their separated finances, she basically is never saving money. But I think they both know that would be uncomfortable, because then she'd be like trying to buy stuff, and he'd be like, no, we can't do this. I have to restrict the buying, because we're never gonna save money if you keep doing this. Materialism goes burr. Yeah. I mean, I realize it went burr for me this past 2 months. Holy frick! I spent so much money these past 2 months. I don't even know. Like, I don't even understand. Somehow, somehow, normally month to month, Break a Bank goes like relatively flat. It might go like up $100 a month because I don't spend that much. But these past 2 months, Break a Bank went down by like a full paycheck. I guess I shouldn't have bought that Hololive merch. I guess I shouldn't have bought those tickets to YOASOBI. I guess I shouldn't have bought some new components for a new computer. It just all disappeared. It just all disappeared. I don't know how. A full paycheck. Time for a donathon. What did I get? So there's a pop-up shop for Hololive English in LA. And I went there just because I was like, oh, it's temporary. I have FOMO. I need to go get all the stuff. And I got this like sweatshirt with Hollow Myth on it. And I got this like baseball shirt. I should have tried it on more. I thought it would be like a cute fit for me, but it was actually massive. It's like a dress on me. This baseball shirt with Calliope Mori on the back. It's pretty good looking, but it might as well be a nightgown for me. And then I got 2 tapestries. That's been a thing I've been doing.
Sounds cute. Send pics winking face.
I've been picking up a lot of tapestries. Wherever I go, places that have tapestries, I can't resist. And now I have a bunch of them. They're still rolled up in their scrolls because I don't know where to put them. I don't have room on my walls. So now I've got a shelf in my bedroom with all these tapestry like scrolls on it. And it's starting to look like, you guys ever see like the Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is like going through the libraries of Minas Tirith and he's like candlelight searching through all the scrolls of like, these are the ancient records of the kings or whatever the frick he was looking for. Now I've got a shelf that's like just like that. It's just a bunch of scrolls on it that are all cute anime girls. You feed your spending urge by downloading free software instead? That's a good one. You know what else I spent money? I bought Monster Hunter World 2 days ago. $70 right there. Still haven't played it. I thought it would be good to play on stream while there's all this hype about it being a new game, but I just haven't found. I feel like the times I've streamed since I've gotten it, I just haven't felt like playing it. And maybe we'll play it later tonight, but I still wanted to start out by just like yapping, chatting, enjoying you guys' company. You feed your spending urge by spending money? Yes, exactly. But I think I've gone overboard. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I used to spend super minimally. Like my mom was almost giving me shit because we were going over expenses last year, just sort of talking about it because that's something like Mama Bell and I do just to talk about like our living situations, and she was like, what? Huh? 9 months? You're like, we've had our follower child at this point. 9 months is a full gestation. Sorry. But I was chatting with Mama Bell, and she was giving me shit. She was like, Belle, how do you only spend this much a month? Cause I spend a fair amount, and that's why my bank account doesn't go like up, right? But the large majority of that is just rent, right? Like 3/4 of my spending is just like rent. So when we were going over like my actual expenses, you know, we sort of ignored the rent because that's not like something I can control, right? Mom Bell was like, Belle, like, are you Are you even living your life? How do you survive spending this little? All you do is you buy food and that's it. And she was making fun of me. She was making fun of me. Eat the landlord? Exactly. Eat the rich. Frick. My landlord is evil. EVIL, evil. Raises the rent 10% every year. What a freaking psycho. But after she said that, this was around like Christmas time, right? This was when I was on Christmassy break, just chilling with Mama Bell. I was like, okay, New Year's resolution. Weird one. No, I can't tell this to any of my coworkers, because if I tell this to my coworkers, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You unreasonable bitch. But minor New Year's resolution, be a little bit looser with my wallet. If there are things that would make me happy, just spend a little. Because the money is not helpful for anything. Like, the whole point of the money is to make yourself happy, right? So I was like, okay, just be a little bit looser with your wallet. Spend a little bit more money to be happy, because you should try and find happiness in things other than food. And now I'm fucking down a full paycheck in Break a Bank has gone down a full paycheck over the past 2 months, where normally it goes up. I just burned a bunch of money. And I don't even understand how, because I don't remember buying that much. I don't remember buying that much. It went whoosh. But I guess it's okay, because I'm gonna get some stuff out of it, right? I've got some new HoloLive merch. More tapestries for the scroll shelf. And next weekend I'm going to see Yoasobi and Ado live. Is it pronounced Ado? Ado? I don't know how you pronounce her name. Honestly, I really bought the tickets so I could see Yoasobi. I think that's actually pronounced like Yoasobi. I don't know. But I'm gonna see them live. And then there's one other Japanese, like, I think it's like a girly pop group with them, but they're all performing together. It's like I think it was marketed as like a Japanese music experience. So I'm going to a concert next Sunday night. Yep. But part of me is like, just 2 months and suddenly I've burned, an extra paycheck. Maybe this New Year's resolution was a really really terrible gateway into becoming a terrible spender, like Break a Boss's wife. That you're jealous? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have rubbed it in your face. Don't worry though. When I go, I'm gonna buy a ton of merch, probably gonna spend a whole nother freaking paycheck, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna rub my merch in your face too. And you know what I heard? What I heard is like that Ado has this really big thing about like not wanting her identity revealed, right? So they do like this whole like super backlit thing where you just see her shadowy like silhouette. But I heard it's like really monitored to even get your phone out, because they don't want anyone recording. And if they find someone's recording, they shut off the lights that give you any chance to see her silhouette. So that makes me kind of nervous, because I sort of wish I could just like get a little bit of recording, not to see her, but like I think it's cool to like record experiences, right? I don't know how like it's generally thought about with recording concerts. I guess it's probably like a little frowned upon. I don't know. But I would want a recording just for myself, right? Maybe not, of course not the whole thing, but like I think it's cool to like keep little clips of like the crowd going wild as the band starts playing, and you know, the intro and all that. I don't know. One sec. Could you just use some sort of polarized lenses to reduce I don't think so. You're talking about if you wanted to discover her identity? I don't think so. I think, to be honest, everything they have set up is really, really good to keep her. I think she's fairly safe in that 99% of people, even if they had a recording, wouldn't be able to enhance it to any level of being able to tell who she was. But it makes sense that she just wants to be sure, right? Because she's clearly very like paranoid about it. I mean, she's gone to such great lengths to keep herself anonymous, right? But I do really, I'm not gonna lie, I really dig the whole like anime girl images. that when you Google her name, you don't see a person, you see an anime girl. I really like that. I really like that. Anime girls are the best. IRL VTuber? Exactly. Exactly. And that probably is super cool because she can just go out and she can go to the grocery store without being recognized, you know? I wonder if when she speaks, she changes her voice tone so that people won't have any chance of recognizing her from her voice in real life. But yeah, I'm excited for the concert. Although the concert is Sunday of not this weekend, but the next weekend. I've got a final project due for one of my classes that same night, which means I need it done the day before at least. And all of next week, I'm on work travel, which means I'm probably not doing much project work all next week, which means I need it done this weekend, which is 2 days away. And suddenly, I've gone from having a week and a half worth of time to do this final project to having like 2 days. 2 days. Is the project co-op? No. It seems like it's not. In fact, all it looks like is one of our normal homework assignments, but like longer. Oh, is my work co-op? No. I just work, and they have like this little. I don't know if you consider this a co-op, but my work has like tuition reimbursement. If you want to get a master's degree, then they'll pay for it. And then in exchange for them paying for it, you have to keep working for them for a couple years. Otherwise, you have to pay some back. Which I don't really feel that great about. I don't really feel that great about being tied to this company at the moment. This company has done dirty things to me, I feel like. But maybe, I'm pretty sure if I find a new job, I'll just get them to pay what I owe. And we'll just push the debt around. So yeah, that's been something I've been silently procrastinating. I told myself I'd do that project this past weekend. Didn't do any. Nada. Didn't even watch any lectures. Nope. Toasting my own schedule. And then I'm sicky this week, and now tomorrow's supposed to be my last work day for this week, and I have a bunch of work I need to do, and the project, and I've got a job interview tomorrow in the morning. So somehow I procrastinated everything important in my life. Yup. Nothing bad going on here. Nothing bad going on here. I'm not slowly being overwhelmed by life. No. No. Sniffly. But anyway. Sniff. Sorry, the cough monster is coming for me. I need a cough drop. 1 sec. I can do what I can do. Heck yeah, that's my plan. I know I can do this project the very last day. So I'll just save it for the very last day. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Definitely nothing. Definitely nothing. It'll be fine. Probably. Or I'll fail this class and then I'll have to pay directly for it because my company won't cover the cost if I fail. and then they'll fire me too because they hate me and then I'll go homeless and die. Yep. But something I did want to do this stream is I want to watch this YouTube video from Stuff Made Here. He's putting out videos at a higher rate now because I feel like he used to put out a video once on every blue moon, but I feel like he's put out one every... I feel like it's only been like 3 months since his last one. Less, maybe. I don't know. But you guys want to watch it with me? Let me find it. And I haven't seen it yet. I was waiting to watch it with you guys. My beloved stream viewers. Let me kill background music. Ba-ba. Move over here.
Have you ever
Turn it up.
seen one of these little helicopter
Whoa, is that too loud for you guys? I feel like that's probably a little loud.
toys that
Turn it down, maybe this length?
give a spin, and the thing just...
Okay.
Have you ever seen
Do. I should make it full screen. Man, I feel like something about his hair being shorter here makes him like look at just a little bit nerdier. Not that he's not already nerdy looking, but it's just sort of funny looking to me.
one of these little helicopter toys that you give a spin, and the thing just flies away? I loved these things growing up, so I got my kids some, although I think I played with them more than my kids did, which got me wondering...
Is that like a mood? Do you guys think the things that we as like nostalgia enjoyer and adults will find cool for kids' toys, and like, do you think that's gonna be the fate? Is we're gonna end up like trying to show our kids toys that we thought are cool, and our kids are just not gonna think they're cool at all? I was talking with my boss about this earlier today too, about how like a lot of things just in some sense don't hold up time-wise. But I don't know. It's not just nostalgia. Those things are freaking good. Yeah, I guess it is. The classics are always good, right? But we'll see. We'll see if he has something cool in.
How high could you make one of these things actually go? And being a competitive male with access to CNC machines, I took that idea way too far.
Hold up. I don't want to gloss over this.
And being than my kids did, which got me wondering how high could you make one of these things actually go? And being a competitive male...
Did you hear it, chat? Did you hear it? Competitive male? Do you think it matters that he's a male? I don't think it matters. I think there are plenty of females who could beat him. Okay? Now, I'm not saying I could beat him, but maybe at the end of the video, I'll have some ideas that could improve on his design. We'll see.
with access to CNC machines, I took that idea way too far, making basically the Formula One version of one of these helicopters.
It looks like an actual helicopter.
It looks pretty different, but it works the same way. You spin it up and let her rip.
Holy.
Although, spoiler alert, I did not find out how high you can make one of these go.
Chat, I just want, like, look at this. These aren't, from what I can tell, these are metal flywheels. These things must be heavy as shit. These things must be heavy as shit. And I mean, not like super heavy. I'm sure you still like lift them pretty easily with your hands. But when you ever think about anything like flying, like generally anything that I think of flying is like really light. And I'm like looking at these things and I already feel like the only way you're gonna lift these big ass heavy metal flywheels is if this thing's spinning super, super, super freaking fast. But who knows?
It looks pretty different, but it works the same way. You spin it up and let her rip. Although, spoiler alert, I did not find out how high you can make one of these go.
This is shopped, right? This has to be shopped, right?
Because I made a gigantic design error with this thing. Let's just say it's really good at uncontrolled flight into terrain. But even though I didn't flight in design error,
does the shield go above them? There's nothing protecting. They don't have like a roof over their head, which seems like a crazy oversight for something literally built to fly over your head, right? Like that. Like no, don't say helmet, because first of all, he's not wearing a helmet, and second of all, helmet does not protect anything other than the very top of your head. It doesn't protect your shoulders, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like if I were going to go the whole mile of putting up this shield in front of me, I would at least put like plywood over my head too, right? Shoulder helmet? Shoulder helmet? New invention. Screw the shoulder guards or the pauldrons or whatever you call them. Just make more helmets that are smaller and fit on your shoulders.
It's really good at uncontrolled flight into terrain.
Oh gosh.
But even though I didn't achieve my goal, it's still a really cool helicopter, chock full of cool mechanics, interesting physics, and egregious design error. Chock full of...
Did you see this? You guys see what this does? It lets him change the angle on the blades. This is like the shit real helicopters have. That's so cool. But this is like... I imagine this is like a nightmare in terms of like points of failure.
Full of cool mechanics, interesting physics, and egregious design errors. So join me as we see how far we can push a cheap novelty made for children.
Also, just now that I'm thinking about it, right? There's this flywheel, right? This flywheel has all its mass on the outside, right? So it has higher, what's it called? Moment of inertia? That's the word for it, right? So in terms of like flywheels wanting to continue spinning, right? This one seems to me like it would be better
physics and
than this one, because for the same weight you can have like a more effective flywheel on the cutout one, right? Or you could make the cutout one lighter. So I'm sort of interested in why he didn't use the cutout one.
Egregious design errors. So join me as we see how far we can push a cheap novelty made for children. These helicopters are really simple. You spin them between your hands, which stores up kinetic energy in the propeller, which blows air downwards, generating thrust, and they fly up. And obviously if you spin them faster, they're gonna go higher, but there's actually a pretty firm limit to how fast you can spin these things. If you think about the tip of the propeller spinning around, it's tracing out a circle really fast. And if you spin it fast enough, you can make it go supersonic, which would make a sonic boom, which is super cool, but it also makes an enormous amount of drag and the propeller kind of stops working.
There's no way that that's the limit, right? I feel like the limit has to be way earlier than supersonic.
But it also makes sonic,
Like,
which would make a sonic boom fast.
if the idea is your limit is the very end going 700 miles per hour or whatever bullshit supersonic is, I think it's like roughly 700 miles an hour. Like, to me, I feel like you're for sure going to see the blades on this just break or deform before then, right? It's totally gonna, like, bend before then. There's no way you get up to that speed. There's for sure something else that happens first.
And if you spin it fast enough, you can make it go supersonic, which would make a sonic boom, which is
But that's
super
like
cool,
a crazy idea.
But it also makes an enormous amount of drag and the propeller kind of stops working at that point. But even if you spin it below that limit, it doesn't do nearly as well, at least as I would have thought, because air drag increases like this. Spinning 10 times faster is about 100 times the drag.
Air resistance is not over. It's square. It's not directly proportional. It's squared. So yeah, that exponential curve seems pretty
Think
right.
about it this way. The spinning propeller has a certain amount of energy, like a gas tank, which it can use to go up or to fight air drag. Spinning it faster gives it more fuel, but it ends up spending 99% of that fighting air drag. So what if we ran the propeller a lot slower, where it's going to be more efficient because it's not fighting air resistance, and instead we spin a flywheel really fast? The propeller would be spending a lot less energy overcoming air drag, but it would also have a lot less energy stored in it. But we'd make up for this with the fast spinning flywheel, which lets us store a lot of energy without all the air drag of a propeller.
That's a really interesting. I hadn't considered the thought of just using the flywheels to store energy and intentionally reducing speed. I would have thought he would have just gone to the max, as much speed as possible. But this makes a lot of sense, you know, intuitively to keep your drag down.
I ran some simulations of a fairly slow propeller, a propeller at the supersonic limit, and then a propeller augmented with a flywheel, which does this. It should be able to go about 5 times higher. But which does a propeller at
Chat,
the supersonic limit,
this is you.
and then a propeller augmented with a flywheel.
This is the guy
which does
she tells
this.
you not to worry
It should be able
about.
to go about 5 times higher.
The guy she tells you not to worry about. Maybe they could store the energy in a chemical fuel or something. You mean a battery? You're talking about just making a remote control helicopter?
But there is a really big problem with this design that we're gonna have to solve. We're gonna have a big propeller with a flywheel attached to it, which is basically a chunk of steel. If it goes way up into the sky, it's gonna run out of energy and then just fall down like a brick, which is super dangerous, and it'll also pretty much destroy everything when it hits the ground.
I wonder if he's gonna do what I think he is. Which, calling, I think the chances of him being able to effectively pull it off are very low. But you guys know there's a thing for helicopters where if helicopters lose their engines, they can actually land somewhat controlled, because what happens is as they fall, right? If they keep the same angle on their blades of their propeller, what will happen is as they fall, the air resistance will start to spin the blades. And then, when they start getting close to the ground, they can change the angle on their propeller blades, reverse it, and then it'll still have the same angular momentum, spinning the same direction, but now the propeller blades will be in such an orientation that that spin will push up on the helicopter, and they can slow themselves down, right? This is like a pretty cool idea that I don't know if you guys, like, know about, but it's like a thing, right? But let's see if he tries to go for it. This is some pretty intense stuff, And I think to
My
be able to
original-
get that working on like this small of a helicopter would be insane.
Plan was to have a parachute that it would deploy when it topped out. But if you
That's probably way more reasonable. Parachute, way more reasonable.
think about it, this thing is going to be spinning and doing who knows what. It's hard to imagine the parachute not getting tangled up in everything.
You know, he's not wrong, but I feel like it wouldn't be that hard. All you have to do is you have to eject the parachute, like, off to one side or something. I feel like. And then what happens is when the parachute pulls up on that side, then the propeller, like, flips. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the parachute is like a relatively pragmatic attempt at solving this falling problem.
And it's still slamming into the ground just with a parachute wrapped around it. But I really wanted this to work. I went pretty far down the rabbit hole of a pyrotechnically deployed parachute, basically shooting the parachute out of a cannon so it gets really far away from the blades quickly. But
I feel like that maybe is possible with like the same sort of little like shotgun shell type explosives that he's used in the past or whatever, right? But I feel like anything that does that's probably gonna like destroy the parachute. Maybe not though, right? They use those pyrotechnic charges in your airbags in cars, right? That's how your airbags deploy. If you didn't know, is they've got like a little explosive in there, and it doesn't like shred the airbag. So I guess it seems pretty feasible.
But you can still imagine scenarios where it wouldn't work. Like if it was tumbling and it shot it straight down, the helicopter would just fall into the parachute. So I decided to go with another strategy, which is a lot harder than the parachute, but I think it could work. Let's go back to our fuel tank analogy. It takes energy to make the propeller go up, but this process works in reverse. When the helicopter tops out and runs out of energy, you can reverse the angle of the blades, and the air blowing past them as the helicopter descends will spin them like a windmill, which
Oh my god, he's going for it!
fills our kinetic energy fuel tank. And then right before we hit the ground, we could change the angle of the blades back to normal, which generates downward thrust with the energy we just stored up, which slows the helicopter down so that it can land. The downside is that it's hard to do, and we have to make blades that can change their angle.
Chat, I feel like there is a sub 5% chance of him executing on this executing on this strategy. This seems so hard to do effectively. And like I said, this is like a real thing. Like, they can do stuff like this on real helicopters, so it is doable, but I would be flabbergasted if he gets this working effectively like that.
And I didn't come up with this. It's called an auto-rotation, and it's what real helicopters do if their engine goes out. In theory, we can now land it, but unfortunately the design still doesn't work.
It probably doesn't work because now with the flywheels, the air doesn't spin it fast enough to give it enough energy, is what I feel like he's going to say. I feel like he's going to say because the flywheels add such a huge moment of inertia, it can't build enough energy from air resistance alone.
So the flywheel is going to be trying to turn the blades like this, but there's an equal and opposite reaction that's going to try to spin the flywheel this way. But that won't actually happen because the flywheel is
on the other
acting
side.
like a gyroscope. Basically, when you spin something really fast, it resists any changes to its orientation. So there will be a torque trying to twist the flywheel, but it's going to resist. This seems like a good thing because we want the blades to spin, not the flywheel. But the fact that we're trying to spin the flywheel and it's resisting will make something very non-intuitive happen that is easier to show than explain.
Precession.
So I made this little thing with a motor spinning a flywheel. It's sort of like a mini version of the helicopter with a flywheel sticking out of the side. So I'm going to spin the flywheel up and watch what happens when I try to turn it. Trying to twist it this way results in a torque that twists it this way. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of why this happens, but it's called precession, and it's really bad because it'll just make my helicopter flip over and crash.
Guys, I don't know if you have seen this demo from like schools or professors or whatever. There's a really, really cool demo that maybe we'll watch after. It's really quick, but where you like spin up a bike tire, you get it spinning real fast, and then you suspend it from only one side of the axle, right? So it's not supported on both sides. It's only supported on one. And since it's only supported on one, you'd expect it to like to just fall out under it. But this effect precession causes it to stay upright. It's really cool. Maybe we'll see if we can watch a demo after.
But there's a trick that we can do. If we put a second flywheel on the other side of the helicopter, spinning in the opposite direction, it'll precess in the opposite direction.
Is that right? Spinning in the opposite direction? I think he needs... I thought he needed to spin them in the same direction to counteract the precession. Because if he spins them opposite directions...
On the other side
Wait,
of the
let me see the diagram. I need to see the diagram.
Spinning in the opposite.
The diagram is also not clear because it's... I mean, I guess it's sort of clear. But if the idea is the side that's closer to us, the left goes down, and the right goes up, I'm pretty sure that doubles the precession instead of countering it. But let's see. Maybe he'll run into that in a second.
Opposite direction, it'll precess in the opposite direction and cancel out the twisting on the helicopter. The last big question is how to connect the flywheels to the propeller. I decided to use gears, but they're kind of weird because the flywheels are at a 90-degree angle to the propeller. And here's how they work. Imagine you have the shaft for the flywheel and the propeller. And then you draw two imaginary lines to where they intersect. Then you make two cones going from that point to each shaft. The cones will touch, and if one spins, so does the other one. If we looked at this from the side, it would look something like this.
These are called, I think they're called bevel gears, if I remember right.
Then, if we delete the tips of the cones and add some gear teeth, we have the gears that we're gonna make. These are called bevel gears, and I need
Got them Oh, that looks so...
I need them to be very light.
I mean,
so
I
have to make them
understand
myself, and every...
that modeling is not necessarily that bad once you get used to it. But I like look at this model all together and I'm like, this is so many hours of work. For if I had to put together this model, this would be like probably like 200 hours for me. Cuz I'm so out of practice modeling. Maybe someone who professionally is a professional mechanical designer and spends all their time in Creo or SolidWorks could do this in, I don't know, maybe a week. But like this is a lot.
Every other part of the helicopter.
$30,000 worth of work? Yeah, I mean honestly, like that sounds very very within the realm of reasonableness to me, Mr. E.
So let's do it. The gears start as a blank cut out on the water jet. Then they go into the 5-axis CNC, which can turn the part in any direction, which makes parts like this a lot easier.
It looks so
Here's
satisfying
the newborn
to
gear
watch.
before his teeth came in. I'm using a special cutter with the shape of the gear tooth in it to cut each tooth one at a time. That turned out a lot better than I was expecting. It's pretty much the same process for the flywheels, but overall I just had to turn on the tunes and crank out a bunch of parts because unfortunately the entire helicopter is metal.
Bro's just out here like, oh yeah, just turn on the tunes and crank out the parts, completely glossing over the incredible amount of modeling work that we just talked about.
I'm pretty sure I used every metal working machine in my shop on this. And now the fun part.
Good value for
putting
your
it all
money at your
together
tool set.
and seeing it not work.
Aww. Huh. I don't know how I feel about this structure he has. Something about it seems like it doesn't have support in as like all of this is in a singular plane really, right? And I don't really like that. But maybe it's fine. The machining is harder than the modeling? Possibly. Doing all the CNC coding, possibly. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with machining the machining process.
Oh yeah. I waited so long to see this thing spin.
This looks very complex. And that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, I guess. I'm just worried because when you have things that are really complex, you end up with like a lot of possible points of failure.
Finally, all the parts are made. I got them put together, and it looks really cool. The most important thing is the rotor head and the blade.
I also want to acknowledge that he recognized the most important thing is that it looks cool.
Blades, which are on a pivot, so we can change their angle by pushing and pulling on them. And this is kind of tricky because we have to be able to do it while they're spinning. The secret is this little servo on the bottom, which is stationary when the blades are spinning, but it has a little control rod that goes up through the main shaft and can push and pull on the blades to control their angle.
Wait. Did he say it's stationary when the blades aren't spinning?
Control rod, little servo on the bottom, which is stationary when the blades are spinning.
Stationary when the blades are spinning. But certainly he just means that it doesn't spin with them, right? It needs to be able to move while they spin. He needs to be able to adjust the angle of the blades as they spin. He can't wait for them to stop moving. That would be bad.
But it has a little control rod that goes up through the main shaft and can push and pull on the blades to control their angle. And then the lower part is designed entirely around the bevel gears. They have a 5-to-1 ratio, meaning the flywheels will spin 5 times faster than the blades. And they were tricky to make because they're going to be spinning up to 24,000 RPM.
24,000? This thing's a death machine, guys. This thing's actually so dangerous. 24,000 RPM? So that's, divide by 6 is 4,000 per 10 seconds, which means 400 per second? Is my math right? 400. This thing is actually, like, so dangerous. Like, if a little tooth on one of these gears comes off, it's literally gonna be like a bullet.
So they have to be balanced really well. And then the space.
Oh, and if a little tooth on the gear comes off, it's immediately gonna be super imbalanced, and this is actually so dangerous.
In the middle holds all the electronics for controlling it, measuring altitude, all that stuff. So I just finished installing all the electronics, but I was looking at the flywheels, and it occurred to me that I'm an idiot. Remember how I was excited that the 2 flywheels will...
Oh, was I right? Was I right? They need to spin the same direction. They can't spin opposite directions. You're just gonna double up on the precession. Maybe I'm wrong.
cancel out each other's precession. Do you know what else they cancel out?
Oh, the angular momentum? Wait, not the like...
Their gyroscopic effect as well. Which this design depends on. The flywheels spinning the blades forward will make an equal and opposite reaction that spins the body of the helicopter backwards. If I try to fly it, the body's going to start spinning backwards at 1,000 RPM.
Interesting.
It's going to start shedding parts. It's going to crash. I guarantee it's not going to work. I have no idea how I missed this. They usually do a demo of this on the first day of physics.
This is the demo I was talking about. This is the demo. It's so good.
Class. They even talk about it in the physics book I got from...
This is all... What? This is such a cute book. Puppy in motion tends to stay in motion.
got from my kids when they were babies.
Interesting. Interesting that they choose donuts rigidly attached to candy cane. Just a funny choice.
I think I just had tunnel vision thinking about precession and didn't look 2 inches to the right. And the right thing to do would be to redesign this, but we put too much time into this.
Is there another way to deal with this? In terms of stabilizing it, I mean, hear me out, chat. If what you want is you want stabilization, right? And you're relying on gyroscopics to stabilize, but you realize now you can't use gyroscopics because you're gonna end up with precession problems. Like, this is gonna sound crazy. This is gonna sound crazy, chat. I think if you want stabilization, you put an upside down parachute on the bottom. Okay? So propeller pulls up, parachute on the bottom pulls down. That creates this, anytime it becomes off center, what happens is it wants to self-stabilize. Then hear me out, chat. Hear me out, chat. When it starts falling, well, what will happen is probably the helicopter will fall directly on the parachute, and then you'll have all sorts of issues. But if you had a way to effectively turn it just a little before it started falling, your parachute would already be clear. Parachute already in position to start gracefully stopping the fall. Pendulum rocket fallacy? I don't know what fallacy you're talking about. But I'm not thinking of any sort of necessarily huge pendulum type things as much as I'm thinking about with propeller planes, you keep your center of drag back and your pulling propeller forward will self-stabilize. Like, that is a reason that for a very long time we wanted puller planes instead of pusher planes. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas, right? Which is the very first step, right? Is you should just be like brainstorm. Are there other ways he can self-stabilize? I mean, if you wanted to be really crazy, I'm sure you could end up with like gimbaling your propeller and then trying for some sort of thrust vectoring, but that'd be like so crazy, right? At that point, you're actually building like a real helicopter system.
I think it's time to embrace the sunk cost fallacy. We're going to let it flow through us, and we're going to transition to a different kind of working called hacking. So here's the plan. Airplanes have these things on their wings called control surfaces, which move like this.
Okay,
when
sure.
air flows over it, it's redirected, which makes a force that pushes the wing down. If I move this one up and this one down, it'll generate forces like this that will twist the wing. What if we stuck something like this on the bottom of our helicopter? We could use the airflow from the blades to twist the wing and keep the body from spinning. Let's find.
How do I feel about this? I feel like at this point, rather than relying on the airflow from the... Actually, maybe not. Your airflow from the propeller blades already has to be really fast in order to fly this thing, right? I was going to say at this point, you might as well be trying to make this thing really big and try and rely on just huge air resistance against spinning. But I guess you're going to have really fast airflow over straight down from the propeller.
And out. And I know this is ugly and just kind of bolted on, but remember, we're hacking. Here it is all together, and the airflow from the blades will go down over these control surfaces.
I don't like that it's off-center. And I don't know if that necessarily has any negative impacts. I suspect it does. But even just aesthetically, I don't like that it's off-center,
and
right?
hopefully generate
it bothers the little bit of, like, OCD in me.
Enough torque to keep things from spinning. And I'm just going to gloss over the second wing because it just isn't important right now.
Oh, he's got two of them. I feel very torn. It just bothers me. The asymmetry bothers me, chat.
You can probably guess what I'm trying to do. I think we're at the point where we just have to try it. But before we can do that,
Wait a second. I do see, like, an actual problem here. Well, not if he's like properly computes to like adjust for it. But with these two, the like quote unquote horizontal control surfaces right here, he has a lot of balance with them because they're the same area. But with these ones, the vertical ones, one is very clearly bigger than the other, so it's gonna have way more impact than the other. And he just has to make sure that like he's properly balancing for them.
I think we're at the point where we just have to try it. But before we can do that,
And I'm gonna tell you, I 80% believe that he's not doing any computation for this. He is just gonna go and he's gonna evaluate it based off testing, which is fair. Which is fair. Like 90% of controllers tuned in the field. All your controller theory from controls in college, 90% of it useless because you tune those in the field. There are very, very limited applications where you really, really need to do all the math of your control systems. And he probably does not feel like it's worth it to do it here.
we need something to get these flywheels spinning really fast.
And I'm on board
This
with that.
turned out to be a bit more complicated than I was expecting, and it kind of turned into its own whole project. And the result is this dock thing, which the helicopter sits on, like this. There's a
Chat. There's fucking... You see this plug? This connector right below it? Tell me his game plan is not to have that plugged in for the control signal. And then when the helicopter takes off, it auto unplugs just by, like, the helicopter pulling itself out. Like, that's not even necessarily bad. It would just bother me if that's the game plan. That just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
There's a motor on the side with a special coupling to
Not that bad it's bad in my opinion, especially because the connector is not rigid mounted. The connector is not rigid mounted. It is like the mounting to the base plate is through the wires, and that bothers me.
sits on, like this. There's a motor on the side with a special coupling helicopter sits on.
I'll say I work in aerospace, and if you told me you were building like something that was going to unplug like that on your... If you were building a plane that dropped some sort of drone or something like that, and that was your plan, is you dropped it and it just auto unplugged like that, I would be like, go redesign. Go redesign. I am not stamping off on this. This is not getting my PE seal of approval.
On, like this. There's a motor on the side with a special coupling to interface with the flywheel. And then there's a little computer that controls how fast it spins everything up. And it'll slowly ramp the flywheels up faster and
Wait a second. What's going on here? Is this... Frick, what's the word? Is this a clutch? Is that what this is? What is the point of this? This linkage? I feel like it's probably some level of clutch. That's the only thing I can imagine it is. But is it something else? What is this for?
faster. And when everything's going fast enough, it releases a trigger, which quickly pulls the
Oh, okay.
motor out of the way so the helicopter can fly without hitting anything. It communicates with the helicopter over this little
No! No! Don't do this!
breakaway cable.
I'm feeling pain in my wires. I'm feeling pain in my wires.
The little computer tells the helicopter that it's good to fly, and if it's flying autonomously, it'll take off to the heavens, or I can start flying it with an RC controller.
With an
It
RC
takes time to do some
controller.
testing, but I really don't want to. I've just been putting it off because I'm too afraid of what's going to happen. But I came up with a scheme that's relatively safe. I'm going to have the helicopter held down with these guides. They'll kind of let it fly, but they'll keep it from tipping or doing anything totally crazy. I have it set up so that when I press this button, the helicopter will spin up, and I've got this piece of...
Sorry.
Have us
This 1 second of footage
up.
of it.
that when I press this button, the helicopter will spin up.
It's already vibrating, chat.
And-
Which I sort of get, because it's not like, it's pretty decently connected on this side through the connector to the motor. But it's basically completely free on the other side. And I just this little bit of vibration even as we're just barely starting to spin it up is like hilarious to me. And it probably stabilizes out, right? But it's just I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I'm gonna need a couple more shields between us.
And I've got this piece of polycarbonate to cower behind because it just seems like a lot of ways it could violently disassemble itself directly into my face. So let's see what happens. There's something really weird happening here. I can only get it to like 30% of the speed that I want. And even at that level, our motor is completely maxed out.
Pulling a little bit of current through that wire.
We're melting wires, burning up speed controls. My guess is that there's too much friction in the system, so I swapped the bearing grease for light oil, which makes them super low friction.
Interesting. I wonder if this is why he switched to the solid flywheels. He actually just switched it to make it easier to charge this up, even though it'll have like less potential energy at the end. Less energy storage. I wonder if he did this just to make it easier on the motor.
Which didn't seem to make a difference. Then I spent ages trying to adjust how the gears fit together, which didn't seem to make a difference. Then I gave up and just got a bigger motor.
That works,
Didn't
right?
seem to make a difference.
Really?
And then I was thinking maybe the coupling between the motor and the flywheel was binding up, so I redesigned it. But it didn't seem to make a difference. Then I gave up again and got an even bigger motor, which didn't seem to make a difference. And then it finally clicked. It's the flywheels.
He did. Okay. So, if he's about to say that the flywheels had too much moment of inertia, so it was too hard to drive them, like, my question is, why didn't he just make them thinner instead of making them solid discs to reduce the moment of inertia? I feel like you still want the best moment of inertia to weight ratio, right? Which means you should still have these cutout shapes.
So obvious. I don't know how I didn't see this. So as this little flat part of the flywheel
Is it literally air resistance on this?
spins around, it's pushing air out of the way. And I just ran the numbers on this and it's astonishing. To spin the flywheels at 20,000 RPM, it should take about 20 horsepower, which is a lot of horsepower. Now that we know the problem, at least, it's pretty easy to fix. I'm sealing them up with a super light heat shrink film. There's no more big flat surface that we're dragging through the air. It's just a smooth cylinder.
Okay, so they were cutouts. They just looked like solids. Okay.
Think of spinning a paddle wheel in water versus a smooth cylinder. It's way better. So let's see if it works.
3, 2, 1, liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
32 minutes past
It
the
is
hour.
finally flying, at least an inch, but it's lifting itself under its own weight. Although I can't really test the control surfaces with these retainers, so I'm going to take
I
those
can
off.
already see it wanting to turn.
Although I can't really
Look at this. Look at this. The side closer to us wants to go left, and the side further from us wants to go right.
at least an inch, but it's lifting itself under its own weight. Although I can't really test the control surfaces with these retainers, so I'm going to take those off. We're going to put on training gear, which is kind of like training wheels for a helicopter. It makes it harder to tip it over. I'm just going to fly it manually with an RC transmitter. Here we go. Throttle
Let's go.
over.
Wait. What's stopping it from taking off? Is there something holding it down?
Throttle over.
What's locking it down?
Oh, no. Man,
What's stopping it from taking it off here? Does he have something, a mechanism holding it down? Oh, he doesn't have the blades pitched? Yeah, I guess that would do it.
Oh, no. Man, I am this close to just destroying everything. Thank goodness I have the training gear on there. They are really earning their salary. Let's try a couple more times. The helicopter's not failing to fly. I'm reversing the pitch of the blades to generate upward thrust and shove it down onto the ground because I can tell it's gonna crash. So I've got the control surfaces pegged all the way trying to turn the helicopter left, and they're just being overpowered by the torque trying to spin it right. I don't think there's anything this wing is gonna be able to do, so I think we basically just have to try to make a bigger wing. We're doing the same thing we did before, just long. I think this is about the biggest wing that we're gonna be able to fit.
I feel like the profile of these wings, like, long works, right? But I feel like what he could have really gone for was to increase the like length upwards of these control surfaces, to make the control surfaces literally longer along the direction the air passes over them. I feel like you could have picked up a lot more surface area really easily if you just made the control surface portion of the wing bigger relative to the static portion. But I'm sure he has a reason that he wants to keep them so small. But, I don't know, it seems like a really easy way to add area, to me.
Fit into this thing. And longer is better because it's going to collect more airflow from the blades, which will also be going faster because we're near the blade tips. And it will generate more torque because it has more leverage. I hope this works because it's pretty much our last chance. So here we go. Come on. The more
Did you
lift
just
you
not have enough
generate,
lift?
the more it torques the body of the helicopter. So I'm giving it just enough thrust to barely lift the helicopter, which is the best possible
holding
case, and the wing is still being
Ah.
overpowered by the twist.
Um,
Man, that sucks. I just don't.
I mean, do other solutions. He could do a second blade that goes the opposite direction under it. And thus balance out the angular momentum just like that. But you'd have to be like really precise, right? With all the spinning parts on each plane between first set of blades and then a second set of blades and then this gear, which is essentially a flywheel, right? But you could definitely do it. Just you'd have to be really precise with your math.
Don't think we're going to be able to solve this spinning issue without.
You wonder something other than flywheels? I don't know. I can't imagine something that holds energy as well mechanically than these. I can't imagine you're going to hold anywhere near as much energy with a spring as you can with these, because these are already going so fast. These things are going. Remember, these are freaking spinning 400 times a second. I mean, maybe jet fuel. Okay, so if you're switching from mechanical sources of energy to chemical sources of energy, just use a battery, right? Like, then we're just making an RC helicopter, right? Huh.
A complete redesign and rebuild. So let's tentatively call this part 1, but we're still not done here. I mean, we've flown it, what, 6 inches? We got to take this thing out and just go for it. I'll get the white
let
pin
it
out.
spin
Hopefully she'll even be impressed
lethally.
if she doesn't realize how messed up it is. It's midnight right now, so tomorrow. Doing it live. All right, 6 a.m. and I'm riding my bike because
Did his bike give him inspiration?
I thought it'd be interesting to show you what I do every day. My routine.
Dude, wait, is this his personal gym? You know how this must be. He must have so much money. Which, I mean, I think if you're at this point in your life where you can have such crazy hobbies as building all this crazy stuff, you must have a lot of money, to be fair.
Routine is, I think, the most important thing that I do. It always starts with exercise, and it is insane how good this is for my brain. Whew.
I also feel like that's true. I feel, I mean, I don't really like getting on the treadmill, but I feel like if I'm on the treadmill and the blood is really pumping, I feel like I'm really sharp. But I also, like, never want to be, like, thinking about work while I'm on the treadmill.
Once I'm done with that, I sit down and spend 30 minutes learning something new. And it is crazy
Here's
how much
the
you can
sponsor.
learn if you do this consistently. It's how I've picked up a lot of my skills, and it's also why I'm a huge fan of this video's sponsor,
Brilliant?
Brilliant. Brilliant is a tool
Okay.
that's designed to help you learn technical stuff, and it works really well.
We'll watch your
That's why I've
ad
been
because
talking
we
about it
like
for
you,
years.
Shane.
It'll take a technical subject like AI and present it as a series of interactive lessons, which have you working with real data and solving actual problems. So you're learning by doing, which is just the best way to learn. And it's so much more than AI. They have literally thousands of lessons across math, science, data analysis, programming, all kinds of stuff. And it'll take these complex subjects where it's hard to know where even to begin and break them down into a series of bite-sized lessons that build one on top of the other, which is really good for learning a bit every day. So you can probably see why I like this so much. And it is shocking how the knowledge compounds. It doesn't feel like you're doing that much day to day, but do it for a month and suddenly you know calculus. It's crazy. So if you want to learn a bunch of interesting
He looks really tired here, guys. The bags under his eyes look really... Which, I mean, makes sense, because I'm pretty sure he's working up to the wee hours trying to troubleshoot this stuff, which is how integration hell works. Terrible, terrible truth of... of challenging
technical
problems,
stuff
but
that's going to level up your problem-solving abilities, or just maybe relearn the math you forgot.
he just
from
looks so
school.
tired,
You should check
Chad.
out Brilliant. You can try it for free for 30 days. Just go to brilliant.org/stuff made here. You can also click the link in the description or scan the QR code, and you also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. And that's it. Thank you, Brilliant, for sponsoring this video, and thank you for taking the time to check it out.
Chat, if I ever make it big, that is like, I want those cool Smarty Pants sites to be my sponsors. It would be so cool.
All right, the time has come to give this thing the beans. So what do you think this thing is going to do?
Bro just said give it the beans. Why does this remind me of like things high school boys said when I was in high school?
I think it'll fly up really high and be awesome.
That's what you think.
That's what I think. And then it'll land and pieces will break off. This pup's gotta fly.
Seriously though, like, they have not... This thing's going to go up, and you clearly don't have control over it horizontally. Why do you not have something over your heads?
Man, I'm nervous. This is a...
Like, can you imagine you see the video footage of this on the news because he, you know, fucking doesn't post it, but what it is the thing flies up and then it lands directly on him? I shouldn't joke about that.
A lot of work that's about to be probably destroyed. Yeah. All right, hit it. Man.
Oh my god.
Baby's purring.
You can see the vibrations even then, right? Even in this little bit, while it's still literally locked onto the ground, you can see the wings vibrating.
Purring.
Well, watch out.
Hell yeah! See, fucking, what if it was on top of him? Chat, if 100% could have fucking just kerchunk landed on his head.
Oh my gosh.
Still death machining even on the ground.
Watch out.
Oh, it's so terrifying.
Well, I don't think the training gear really helped. 2.7 pounder. All right, scale of 1 to 10. Training gear really
Actually, that's
helped.
like
2.7.
that's pretty light. I mean, I guess it was like really deceiving when we were looking at it, thinking that the flywheels were solid. And if they're only cutouts, then they're probably way lighter than they look. But 2.7 pounds, pretty good.
7 pounder. All right, scale of 1 to 10.
With what? 10 being
Scale of 1 to 10.
I'd say 10. That landing. That's a 10.
It was a good landing. I don't know what I'd call
It was just really satisfying to finally see it go.
Yeah.
And then such a epic fail.
Oh.
My kind of gal. It's cool seeing things crash. Did you guys see the fucking... Okay, I'm not gonna say it's cool for planes to crash, but do you guys see the video of the plane that flipped as it was landing? I'm not saying I'm happy about a plane with, you know, living people on it flipping, but it was kind of cinematic. That's all I'm gonna say.
It was a nice try.
It was good.
It's a nice try. I think I know how to fix it, so part 2. Check back in a while.
Shush you. Shush. I said I'm not in support of bad things happening to bad things happening to living people. But I just thought it was like it could have been like a scene out of Transformers, is what I'm gonna say. Okay. Like I said, I think if clearly his issue is keeping up with the spinning, right? Because you have so much angular momentum in one direction from this spinning blade. I think you just put a second blade that goes the other direction. Like, he for sure has the engineering skill to do it, to make it work. Right? To me at least, I feel like he should be capable of that. But, I'm just thinking about how you drive them both and maintain this
And it will.
this linkage that controls the blade for them both, right? Because you also need to control the blade for them both. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you add not even a second blade. You just add a second flywheel. And then you don't need to control it. You make it go the opposite direction, and you make sure that this blade and the central gear and this secondary flywheel are just balanced out in terms of their angular momentum so that you don't have to worry about it. And then you keep it with only one blade worth of lift. That seems 100% within his caliber of engineering. And he's already using flywheels, right? This would just be another flywheel adding to the potential energy that he can keep in his system. That sounds pretty good to me. I'm trying to think of if there's issues with it. Right? That's what I would go for if I were him. And maybe that's what he will do if they go for a part 2. If they go for a part 2. New source of angular... What's it? No, not angular mass. Moment of inertia. that just balance it. That's purely there to balance out the propeller blades, so that you no longer have to worry about the spinning issue. Because your system is always net zero angular momentum. The little propeller on helicopters for this issue? Yes. That propeller, though, is like very specifically tuned to actually, like, it handles the angular momentum by actually thrusting air to the side, though. Which I think needs to be probably more precise than he wants, and then he wants to, like, create. And it's going to add balance issues unless he has, like, proper controls to account for it. But I mean, he's a very, very, very strong engineer, so I'm sure he could do that, right? But like, again, at some point, you're just building like an RC helicopter, right? What I think is better is you want to try and keep things simple as long as you can. Keep things as simple as possible, right? Who says you can't? No, you can have opposite propellers. That's what I was saying. It's just one of them. Like, I'm wondering about if there's a way to have this mechanism that controls the angle on the blades for both of them. Because 2 propellers means you need 2 levels of this central, what do you call it, drive shaft, plus this one for the angling on this first propeller. You probably need a complete second one for the angling on the second propeller. So that's like 3 shafts? 4 no, sorry, not 3 shafts, 4. And you need them all to not interfere with each other in terms of spinning. But I think it's, like, I really want to emphasize that, especially if you're doing these home projects, right? It's way easier to keep things as simple as possible and not overcomplicate them unless you need to. You should start simple with the very simplest solution and only add complexity as it becomes necessary, right? Don't go straight to, like, fancy, crazy, like, magnetic levitation solutions when all you need, like, a little dolly, right? Like, if you need to move your refrigerator, right? Your first you should go straight to the dolly as opposed to, like, let's magnetically levitate it, right? So, I think that the simplest course of action for him right now, if he wanted to add minimal amounts to the system, add another flywheel, balance it out to the angular momentum of these blades and the gear below it, so that your net angular momentum is 0, and call it a day. Call it a day. You always attempt to use force first? Yeah, get the hammer. Get the hammer. Who needs any sort of precision when you can just go towards brute force? Yup. I'm waiting for those donos. Yup, no. Please, don't. It's a joke. It's a joke, Twitch. It's a joke, YouTube. Can we count this as a home I mean, this is basically everything he does is like a home project, right? He's literally building all this stuff like at home.
Will generate more torque because it has more leverage. I hope this works because
But I mean, watching this thing fly was like pretty cool.
Well, watch out!
It's like an absolute death machine. But
Oh gosh.
something about him yelling "watch out" like he's afraid of it, even though it's actually literally like 30 yards away, right? But him still being afraid of it should tell you how dangerous it is.
baby's purring.
He's like,
Well, watch out!
watch out. stepping away because he knows he's in danger. He knows he's in danger.
Oh my gosh.
Probably should have, like, it would have been so easy to build, like, a hut. A hut out of this, I don't know whether it's plexiglass or acrylic or whatever. It would have been so easy to just build a hut out of 2x4s and some, you know, wood boards and be infinitely safer than they chose to be.
Watch out!
More danger equals more fun? Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen his videos.
I don't think
This
the
guy
training
literally using bullets in half his inventions.
really helped. 2.7 pounder. All right, scale of 1 to 10.
But it's good. I love watching Stuff Made Here's videos. Shane's so fucking good. Shane's so fucking good as an engineer. Man, I'm pretty sure there's like no chance I ever become as adept at home projects as he is. But even if I wasn't as good at machining and physically creating things, to even have like the level of knowledge he has is like quite crazy. Quite crazy. But yeah. Did you guys think it was cool? Just need to save up for the CNC? Yeah. I don't know. I think I could learn to use it, right? My time in shops has made me so uncomfortable with them. I feel in so much danger, surrounded by heavy machinery. Like, you hear the story about that girl who was working in the shop at MIT and then her hair got stuck in shit. Asphyxiation. Dunzo. Just be careful. Everyone says just be careful. Why don't you just not put yourself in danger in the first place, Mystery? That reminds me of this stupid-ass, dumbass, goofy-ass guy I remember in high school. Who was like, yeah, I text while driving. The only reason that they need to outlaw is because stupid people can't do it. But I'm not stupid, so I can do it. You know, that's the energy that I feel coming out that statement. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm clearly good enough that I'm not in danger. If I need something, like, really machined, I think I'm just gonna get a machine shop to do it for me. And if I'm, like, rich enough where I can afford to have my own shop, I'm probably rich enough to get a machine shop to make things like that. People do it day in and day out. Yes, you're correct. But that's not the same as doing it at home alone with no one to save you if you make a mistake. No one to call the ambulance for you. That's what I'm gonna say. That's what the tourniquet is for? Heck no! The tourniquet's not saving that girl from MIT. The tourniquet's not saving that girl from MIT. You know, Stuff Made Here. His first aid kit includes bandage kits for bullet wounds. Tourniquet's not saving you from that. I wonder how much his insurance costs. Sometimes you have to ride the lightning. You crazy, Mystery. You crazy. And I'm not gonna bash people for doing it, right? But I just think I couldn't do it. Right? Same way that I'm not gonna bash people for riding motorcycles, but when I think of riding a motorcycle, I'm like, statistically too bad. Just clearly too dangerous from a purely statistical standpoint. Right? Right? And everyone who says they ride motorcycles is like, yeah, I do it safe. You know, I wear all the protective gear. I make sure to be aware of my surroundings. If they were all that safe, the statistics wouldn't be that against them. That's what I have to say. Riding a motorcycle is insanely fun? Yeah, sure. You have to weigh that cost benefit for yourself. But I am not here to die. That is intolerable risk factor for me. Which, by the way, fucking chat, I don't know. I don't think either of you necessarily have a ton of professional experience in the, like, engineering workspace. But somehow, I thought as an engineer, like, one of the most common things would be, like, numbers and math and shit. You know what fucking seems to haunt me wherever I go within the engineering workplace? This one word, risk. Somehow, everything is always about risk, because no matter what you're working on, someone's like, is it worth the money? Is it worth the time? Are we going to make the money? Like, it's a gamble, right? Designing anything is some sort of gamble, right? So is the risk worth the reward? And fucking, I just want to build shit. I don't want to worry about your freaking money. But that's my one thing that I'll say, as a student, I would have never thought that this was something I'd have to worry about. But when you end up working for a big company, like, I don't work for Boeing, but if I worked for Boeing, right, I'm sure it'd be the same thing. Something that you should be prepared for is to have this constant conversation about risk. Not even, like, dangers to ourselves in, you know, building stuff, but the risk of, like, if we try and design this, are we likely to get a return on our money? Are we likely to go over budget? Are we likely to take longer on schedule? Freaking, it's literally politics when your girl just wants to build shit. Spreadsheets? Actually, so spreadsheets are a big thing. Spreadsheets are a big thing, but they were something I expected. And also, I actually don't do that many spreadsheets. Not all engineers are really that tied into spreadsheets. Like, your girl, for the most part, at her current job, is a troubleshooting specialist. I do fuck all for spreadsheet. I maybe do a spreadsheet just to, like, say, oh yeah, this part number, I'm keeping track of it, and I'm keeping track of this part number, and blah, blah, just as a list, right? But I'm not doing any, like, crazy, like, math or anything on Excel spreadsheets. And I think I maybe do 1, 2, maybe 3 spreadsheets a year. But risk gets talked about in at least 2 meetings every week. At least two, because at the end of the day, the customer is like, bitch, you getting me my shit for my money? I'm paying you to build this, where is it? Don't go over budget, don't go over schedule. Program manager's like, what are the chances that this blows up in our face, huh? Huh? Should have been a machinist if I wanted to build it. No, because I don't necessarily want to, like, physically build things. I want to design things. And it's not that I don't want to physically build things. It's that when you build things as deliverables, then it ends up being, like, such a like QA type nightmare where you have to be so thorough and so specific on every little thing that it's just a little bit of the pain in the ass. If I'm building just like stuff, tooling or whatnot for engineering use, I'm building a switch box for our test sets. I'm building a test station, stuff that we're never selling off. I have a blast, right? Because you just like throw that shit together. But you end up with like production deliverables that you're selling off. They've got QA coming and like peering over your shoulder and measuring out the beads of solder on your joints. No, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. But yeah. Oh my god, frick. Wait, one sec. Sorry, I had to cough. Let me take another cough drop. Ugh. But yeah, I think meetings are like, it seems like meetings just permeate all aspects of the workforce for any of the big companies, right? And I actually don't think I hate them. Like, I know some people really super hate them. You know, my boss has a book on his shelf that's called Death by Meeting. and a bunch of my other fellow engineers are like, oh yeah, for every second that I'm in a meeting, that's a second that work's not getting done. But I think it's good as a systems engineer just to sort of see what's going on with everyone and to know what's going on, right? Within all aspects of the program. Because it really sucks when something pops up out of the blue and you're like, I didn't hear about this, but everyone else knew about it. So, I take some value out of some of the meetings. But I also get, like, some people don't want to deal with that. Some people just want to put their head down and do their analysis and then go home, right? Do your analysis. Do your drawings. Do your Creo designing, your SolidWorks designing, and then go home, right? Why bother talking to people? But to me, I sort of like being in the loop. The only meetings you want are chatting at the coffee machine for an hour before starting work. You were at the coffee machine for an hour? I can't judge because, like, I'm shooting the shit with people all the time, but I don't know. I think if I didn't have meetings, a lot of stuff would fall through the cracks for me. Or it would catch me out of the blue. And it's sort of my job to, like, keep tabs on everything. So, yeah. I think 2 hours of meeting per week per program. At minimum, right? You add on extra meetings for individual issues if they need. Gotta warm up the spindle? What the frick's a spindle? Isn't a spindle for, like, creating thread? I'll spindle your mom. Anyway, it is frick! Chat! I'm never... Okay, it's probably good, honestly. Good for my well-being. That I'm not, like... I'm slowly working on breaking my video game addiction, but I don't think I'm ever gonna... I always sort of wanted to play some video games, and then I realized I don't have time. And it's 10:40, and I have fucking shit to do. I have an interview tomorrow that I have to prep for. I have my final project I need to do. Fucking linear optimal controls. Fucking crazy ass MATLAB work for that project. So I think I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you had a good time. And I'll see you guys next time. I'll probably stream this weekend. I will say tentatively Friday. Who knows? It might be earlier. It might be later. But I really want to stream this weekend because I'm going on work travel all next week. So yeah. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Sleep well. Hope the bed bugs don't bite. Hope you're not in danger of a big flywheel helicopter falling on your head in your sleep. Good night.